fight about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just a scout? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
That was great sounds of Watts with Outside on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Preston, and my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, Mr. Easy BlueZ. Easy BlueZ, you are always better with introductions more than me. Who do we have with us today again on the program?
You know, something we talk about a lot on this show is making sure that you're taking care of the neighborhood around you, making sure that you're a good neighbor, making sure that you understand what the needs are for all those, not just those that believe in the same beliefs that you believe in, but that are just there and even believe against what you believe. To understand the importance to stand together is by far one of the most incredible things we could ever do in this country, let alone the world. And right now, when we sit in possibly one of the most divided moments in our country's long history, it is such an honor to have someone, a forward thinker, someone who represents the heart of what Connecticut really is, someone who is out there every day grinding. I want you to put your hands together, but not if you're driving. If you're driving, be responsible and keep your hands at 10 and 2, please. But if you're not driving, put your hands together for the amazing, the fantastic, the incredible, and it is an honor and privilege for him to be here again today, Abdul-Razak Osmanu. How are you, brother?
Yeah. No, I'm doing amazing. Like I remember, I was on just about like a year ago, and it's actually funny enough. I was doing that from like the library of Southern Connecticut State University, where I graduated from last year. So yeah, no, now really happy to be back. Just about a year later, where a lot of things have changed for the better. Really cool, good things going on. So yeah, happy to be back.
Yeah, well, for those who don't know your history and who didn't listen a year ago or haven't been following closely with Connecticut, here you are, a representative in Hamden, knocking out, or councilman in Hamden. Let me get the terms right. I don't want to get it wrong. And I'm gonna have that one hater being like, "That's not his job. That's not his job." Yeah, Control Alt Delete. But going from councilman to now, you're stepping up. And you're actually running for state representative. What does that mean? Now, is this the state representative as per your representation for the state itself, or are you going to D.C. and getting a new suit?
Oh my gosh, we are a ways away from. Actually, I legally can't run for Congress because I'm still 22. You have to be 25. But yeah, so like I couldn't even like think about that right now, even if I wanted to. But no, running for state representative here in Connecticut. So I'd be going up to Hartford to represent the great people of the 94th district, which that is pretty much just Southern Hamden. So like pretty much my immediate neighborhood, as well as the Newhallville neighborhood, as well as Prospect Hill. So yeah, I'd be going up there and having the opportunity to really push forward a lot of the things that I've had the opportunity to really work on. Not only in the past 3 years of being on council, but even beyond that, on some of the various issues that I've had the opportunity to work in professionally, whether we're talking about campaigns or advocacy work, or just as my day-to-day self. So just see it as really a continuation of fighting for those issues and having a bigger platform and a bigger reach as it pertains to the amount of folks that have the ability to help now.
And for the younger audience at home, he's evolving to the next Pokemon. Is pretty much what's going on.
Next stage of his life. It's funny because last year you were graduating. Now you're running for election. So it's crazy how the goals are just being so reached in a young amount of age. How do you feel just achieving just a couple of those milestones you want to just intone for your life? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think that, it's actually really weird. I'm more or less actually the type of person where I'm just so caught in the moment.
Yeah.
And, trying to get done whatever I have to get done, and caught up in just like the daily hustle and bustle of grind of that, where like I'm more or less a person that like after the fact, I like, take a look back at things. I'm like, oh, that was pretty cool. Like, like give myself a pat on the back. That was amazing. That was dope. So I think really just looking at, the milestones and things that have, really been accomplished, not just from like pretty much from like now all the way back to, about a year ago.
Mhm.
I think I've been able to really look at that all with, quite a bit of pride. And then, really actually do take the opportunity to really like settle in the fact that, I've accomplished a lot and have a lot on my plate for, the average 22-year-old. But that does not really mean that it is too much for me. And if
Mhm.
anything, I think that, I like to nowadays really carry the message to, folks my age, even folks that, might be older than me. That, like just because you see Abdul do it doesn't mean that, you can't do it. You have just about the same opportunity and ability to really do it as I do. And I think that's been always really important for me, even like offering that, sort of advice and like reassurance to people. Because especially in like the political realm, like sometimes it's really gatekeepy, and folks aren't really willing to like put you on in any real meaningful way. So I really make it my mission to, take all the things that I've accomplished. Of course, give myself credit for it. That's something that I've decided that like I need to learn how to do if I want to continue this work any much longer. But then also really have the opportunity to like spread that and really multiply that. So yeah,
In your own
That's,
definition, what do local politics mean to you?
mm,
local politics really means I think it's the most intimate and closest point at which issues are really talked about,
Mm.
worked on, and solved. It's supposed to be like really impersonal, but like impersonal in the fact that like cool, this person is literally like my like councilman and they live like right across the street. And like I know who they are, how to get into contact with them, whether it be that. And yeah, so I think, to me, local politics really is, the sort of grassroots community sort of way and aspect of, how the most minute yet important things in your life really get decided, worked on, and really prioritized. So I think that's why it's always so important to me to make the, entering the space and process as accessible as possible for people.
Mm.
Because you have a lot of folks that are like disillusioned and don't believe in the system. And I almost never blame them because it's not their fault. No one gave them the opportunity to think otherwise. So that's what they think. So therefore it's my job as an elected official. It's the job of anyone that really does care to change their mind to put in that work and change their mind.
Is it difficult to change the mind of people within your generation? Because just for example, I put my generation like 10 years ago. I don't really see enough people in my like millennials 10 years ago really heavily involved with local politics, like going in and stepping in. Like I see it more now in my 30s, but yes, easy.
that's because y'all work like 17 jobs. You don't have time to run for
It, it,
anything.
it, it's it, or we're talking about back in the day, not now.
Oh, okay.
We're
Sorry. My
talking
bad.
about back
My
in the
bad.
day when I
Yeah.
was in my 20s, like early 20s. I haven't seen, you know, like talk about like 2010s, there's
Mhm.
enough people, my demographic, millennials in their 20s going out there and going for local politics and pushing that initiative. I'm seeing it more now, which is great to see. Where did that change come in your point of view?
Yeah. Are you saying that more like personally or, in just like a broader sense? Because I think,
A little bit of both.
personally for me, I was always just like the kid that was actually like interested
Mm,
in politics. Where I don't think that, it was to the point of which like, yeah, I'm going to grow up and run for office. Never that. But there was enough of an interest and like understanding that like, yeah, this is something that I like. It's something that I think is important. Um, but so yeah, like I'm not going to say it was like a natural like step or choice, but it was just cool.
mm,
Like I'd been doing that stuff for a while. And just like I was like, cool, I might be 19 because that's when I first decided to run.
mm.
But like I have like years and years worth of knowledge and understanding of how, my local government works. And I can step in and do just about as good of a job as anyone else much older than me. But I think when you really look around and think about it on a general scale, sometimes you have cases similar to me, but then other times you have people that are really just sprung into, action and the desire for action, and really just having the opportunity to really look at, the community that they're surrounded by, whether it's, issues that they're seeing on like a local level, issues that they're seeing on a state level, a national level, sometimes even international. And I think sometimes for a lot of people, it actually starts from a feeling of powerlessness.
Mm-hmm.
When you're like just sitting on the sidelines, not involved, you feel powerless. And entering, the political realm is their way of, not feeling, power per se.
Mhm.
But really having like the opportunity to really be like the steward of their own like political like feelings, ideologies, things of that sort. The issues that they care about. And then, a lot of times it really does, especially when you're thinking about folks that end up running for office, it becomes, like a dedication to community that really has grown through a lot of that work and entry into, the political realm. So I think it's really tough to not get involved in my age, like if you're my age, because it's like social media is just
Yeah, it's there.
you. Yeah, it's tough. Like it's either your algorithm is like on some next level stuff, or you are just like making the conscious choice to just not get involved or pay attention because it doesn't like bother you enough or you don't care enough. But yeah, it is like I think I could say that for past generations it may have been a little bit more easier, but not just with the crises that we have, and see, not even just like internationally, nationally, just in our backyards. A
Mhm.
lot of times it's tough to actually stay on the sidelines, and it's more or less just getting into the political, sort of realm when you're like seeing that is really just a way of dealing with the discomfort that you feel about the issues that you see not being addressed.
I absolutely love that you put that, and I kind of want to expound on that just a little bit because we have real world consequences, real time consequences going
It's
on
true.
these past couple of years. One that just happened, and the Chevron decision that was repealed. To me, it's because there was many years of lazy politics in between, where there was a lot of people who weren't going out there and getting the opinion across or getting the aspect in there. Other people will say a lot of it had to do with the so fake social media aspect and all that. But that's fine. I just think for a while, this entire country thought we were okay. We're like, okay, everything's fixed now. It's good. We just don't talk about it. We're at that Thanksgiving table, and you just don't talk about certain issues. And now it's more explosive, and we've had this overturn of Chevron. What is your feelings and opinions on that you can share? I don't want to put a hitch in your giddy up for the campaign.
Yeah, no, I think that you're kind of right on with that. Where when you really see some of like the worst things that really do come into fruition, such as like the new rise of like the like really 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 far right.
Mm-hmm.
It really is just the product of people more or less falling asleep behind the wheel, and going with that notion of like everything is perfectly fine, everything is all right, I don't need to worry about this, I just need to like show up, maybe if I show up to the ballot box every like 2 or 4 years, and check off the name of the dude that sent me like a piece of mail, and I will be all fine. And then that's how you kind of end up in situations like that, where we now essentially are really beginning to peel back some of the most like really important laws and regulations that protect us. And especially with the Chevron decision with relation to corporations who never take a backseat, or never taking like an off season of sorts. It's like it's so far as they're in business, they're going to be looking for their inside edge that they can get to whatever advantages that they can get. So that's why I think it's super imperative for folks to, I'm not telling people to, you got to be active and do this, blah, 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 every single day and waking moment of their life. But there's like I don't even want to call it civic responsibility, which I guess it kind of is, but there's just a duty, as like a person, as like a citizen or whatever, or just person living in this country, to really, really, really be in tune and in touch with what's going on, because as the Chevron decision kind of explains to us, we are just one moment of falling asleep behind the wheel away from some of the most things that we hold dearly and sacred, being like done away with, deregulated, or anything in that sort of case.
Right.
So yeah, I think that that's exactly the sort of concern that like I have a lot of times, where it's like cool, like especially, and I think sometimes like folks will get upset about something. It'll be like 2 or 3 weeks, but then like a month later, it's just like folks forgot about it.
Right.
And it's like until like next horribly cartoonishly bad thing happens.
Right.
It's like a weird like feedback loop and cycle.
Yeah. No, it definitely is, and obviously we mentioned Chevron, but also something that could hit really home for New Haven, New Hallville, and all that is the appeal of the imprisoning of the unhoused. That if you decide that if you decide to be unhoused and not in dealing in the world of capitalism, you can now be arrested. It's now illegal.
That is perhaps the Chevron decision's scary.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, but I think every time you have a decision that deals with like the carceral system, and like something that has the potential to expand that is 10 times scarier because, as we see historically, it could be bended in some of the most like twisted, subjective ways.
Right.
Where, like I don't think that most people choose to be unhoused.
Right.
Um, but now that we are deciding to like give municipalities the ability to really criminalize that, there really is a cause for concern on as we have a society where there's less and less affordable housing available to meet the needs of folks. You have people that are pretty much being priced out of their neighborhoods and communities. And that is the recipe to homelessness and being unhoused. What is to be done when we have it now like possible that these people can be arrested and imprisoned, and especially for me, the thought that always comes up is the amount of prison labor that is carried out in a lot of our prisons, whether private prisons or even some of our public prisons. So like I'm super concerned about what this ruling could really mean. Where already in like the deep South, you have some of the most inhumane conditions in the
Yep.
prisons. Even in Connecticut, you have conditions that folks are living under in prison where it's inhumane. And we are giving even more opportunity to really open up, our carceral system in a way that like we've seen doesn't work. Where I think that's more or less the maddening thing, where I thought we came out of the whole entire period where it was like, cool, prison is not the way to solve people's social ills. You don't have to like write every single bill that says like if you don't do this, you go to jail. Like there's a path to take before you actually do that.
Right.
And that mostly pertains to, the like the war on drugs, and everything of that sort, and wrapped into that in like the 70s, 80s, and part of the 90s. But with this ruling, I am concerned that, in a different, sort of on a different issue and sort of frontier, that we're creeping back to that sort of,
Mm-hmm.
issue and problem.
Well, and it also kind of shows how tone deaf, the far part of politics, as per the people in DC, are from the rest of the world, your everyday house, because we are just coming off of, demanding and continuing to demand less power to the municipalities and to the police force, and here we are giving them almost an absolute power over a different community that's just not as privileged as the next, which again is completely and totally America in its shell of nonsense, but you know.
Not the nonsense of WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Preston, and my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City, Maine, Mr. EZ BlueZ is in the building. Abdul-Razak Osmanu is with us again on the show. Easy Blues, continue.
Well, no, that's, you know, if you remember the question, I've pretty much forgot everything I just said. I went off on a rant.
Oh, no,
the internet to kick out on me, to be honest.
No, I'm like you're very true. I think that there is really a disconnect that like we see with a lot of folks in Washington. I wouldn't even be surprised if there were folks, you know, that are your state reps and state senators that are really out of touch in a way where, you know, to really understand what the people are going through, you either have to have experienced what they're going through or like, you know, actually like immerse yourself in that in like a meaningful way. Which I'm not saying that, you know, you can't be someone that has lived a privileged life and not serve. Of course you can serve. But you know, if you really do want to understand, you know, how to serve those that, you know, are disadvantaged and most marginalized, that you got to actually work to figure that out. And you know, part of that is like showing up and immersing yourself within that.
Mm-hmm. No, that's definitely true, and that's actually something that I love about the work that you do. And now I want to kind of talk about the campaign and the aspect of like what it's like to design this aspect. And if I'm correct, and I could be wrong, because you know I'm human, so I could be wrong, but you worked on Justin Farmer's campaigns for a bit. Did you work on his run for state rep?
Yeah, I worked on his run for state senate. I was actually co-deputy campaign managing that.
Right.
And like the crazy thing is I was like 18. And yeah, it was like, you know, like I like we did a really great job with that campaign. Pretty much almost everyone on the team was like under 30. And we somehow were able to, you know, do as well as we did. And I don't think it hit me that like, bro, you were like 18 and like co-deputy campaign managing like a state senate race at like 18. Like that's kind of crazy and unusual.
No, definitely. Yeah. Well, I actually that's the main thing I want to get into. You know, what did you learn from that aspect, and what are you applying to your run now for state representative? You know, because as the history books state, as the history books state, unfortunately, you know, our good friend Justin Farmer didn't win that election, and a lot can be learned in defeat. And I just want you to kind of spin on that a little bit.
Yeah, I think that that campaign definitely did teach me a lot because that wasn't really the first campaign that I'd like, you know, had some sort of senior you know, like sort of level in. In fact, it wasn't the last campaign that I served on in like a senior level where like just last year I field directed Liam Brennan's mayoral campaign in New Haven. But I think, you know, Justin's run really did teach me that, you know, if you run on the issues, if you find yourself running because of the issues, just continuously speak on them, and you know, learn how to tell your personal story, and your connection to those issues. Where there's few folks that I've been able to, you know, be able to come across that you know tell their story as well as Justin. And then you know, just from the framework of you know working the campaign. There's nothing more easier to work with than like such a charismatic, outgoing candidate that you know knows their story, knows their connection to the issues, and yeah, once you just have those fundamentals, the rest of it you can really just coach and train any deficiencies, or you know anything that you know the candidate themselves needs to work on. It also did one of the things that like it did teach me how to do that I've been like transferring very well over to this campaign for state rep is asking people fundraising. Yeah, I'm like it's I'd hate fundraising, but you know what we had to do for the state senate campaign was far more than you know what I've had to do for my state rep because you know the things are a little bit more different than that because state senate's a little bit more ground to cover. So yeah, no, I think that just really being able to understand how you know state races really are because there's a whole sorts of things that are baked into there as to, how to really run it, in terms of just like timelines and things of that sort. So yeah, I'm carrying a lot of that over with me into this run. And really with the knowledge of like, cool, like that cares about the issues. I'm going to talk about the issues at the door, and really, have the opportunity to hear from people on, what issues matter to them most. And by talk about the issues, I mean like talk about them in like a real earnest way.
Right.
Where like I think I talked about this like last time, where like
Mm.
I am very much like a fan of cool, like I am just going to tell you straight up without like trying to sugarcoat too much, like what my like political beliefs are. Um, and if they align, that's cool and great and perfect. If they don't, let's like find stuff that we actually like do agree on. And focus on the stuff that like we do agree on. Because I mean, at the end of the day, I know for myself when I'm at voting at the ballot box, and I know it's true of a lot of people, especially like some of my constituents, like they're not voting for someone because it's like a perfect marriage or fit. Like it's not you're not like choosing me as the person you're going to marry. You're choosing me as the person that you trust to act with conviction, and really follow through on a lot of the key issues and visions that I've like told you about and professed to you. So yeah, I think that's another thing that I really learned where state senate district actually ran into the valley, so the Naugatuck Valley, where it's a little bit more conservative than other parts of this area. But we still ran the campaign on the issues that we wanted to. And like I remember having like really deep, frank conversations with people, especially because it was like during 2020.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff going on. And like contrary to what people might think, like people in the valley were really receptive to some of those messages.
Well, no, it's one of the things that I've noticed. Again, you kind of spoke on about it earlier in the show too. That's just that they don't know. One of the reasons why I moved to New Haven is because when I was in the military, I saw a bunch of 18-year-old kids who knew nothing other than what they knew around their own existence. And here they are thrown in this amalgamate of there's a little bit of everything from everywhere, and you have to adapt. And to watch that uh, that shell shock break, I never wanted that for my kids. So when I had the opportunity to move, I moved to one of the most culturally diverse places possible, so that'll never be a culture shock moment. It's one of the things that I've done. But as we continue to move forward and we start to see again the storyline from DC and on, it's always going to look somewhat bleak. We're not necessarily, like you said before, voting for the person that aligns with us 100%. We're just at some point just not voting for the other person. And that's okay too, because we're at that point on the national level. The real work is what you're doing as a representative, as a councilman, in the smaller aspect of it. These are the changes that need to be implemented. These are the seeds that need to be planted. We're talking about, DC is crops, and it's bad crops from many, many years of bad planting of seeds. We have the opportunity now to work on a local level and really put our hands in there and develop the seeds that are going to grow the great plants of the next generation. That's why local politics is so important, and I want to thank you and give you your flowers for participating in that.
I definitely like appreciate that. And I think that one of the issues is that when you continuously have instances where like at the top of your ticket it's the lesser of two evils, you kind of just lose interest and trust from people in the system. And that kind of really goes back to what I was talking about, where it's very easy to be disillusioned by all this. Where for I'm all involved I am, I have my moments of being disillusioned where it's like this kind of sucks. And how is one supposed to have faith in the system when this is what just generally always occurs. But of course, like I make it my mission to really just, fight through that and understand, the points in contact of which where I can create change.
Speaking of change, when elected, what will you change?
Perfect. So I think that one of the things that I really want to work on is like housing in this state, where I feel like we've slipped down the weird slope of like saying the so okay, cool. For example,
Mm,
the word progressive to me is a word that is dying by the second and minute.
mm.
Because in like 2016, it was like, yeah, Bernie Sanders, progressive. Like 2024, there's people that are like dang near centrists that, cling themselves to the progressive moniker where it's just like, I don't, words and their definitions change
Yeah.
over time, but like
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
you're not a progressive. You're just, it's okay to just say you're a moderate or a liberal, man. I don't know, but like that's perfectly fine. But I would say that in regards to talk about affordable housing, where that is like all the rage and everyone says affordable housing, because it's the popular thing to say, but like the important thing is diving into the minutia of what different people mean when they say affordable housing.
yeah.
Because there are some people that when they say affordable housing, they pretty much mean recreating like income segregated developments or anything, not any real mixed income. Which we know sociologically that is like morally and sociologically like that's wrong.
It is.
Um,
Mhm.
I agree.
Or
but then also like you have folks that their definition of affordable housing is like totally skewed. Where like I can say, for example, in the district that I'm running in, you
Mm,
have developments that are being called affordable housing developments where like their like lowest rent is like 1,800 or like 1,900. And I'm like, that is not affordable to anyone in this immediate neighborhood. That might be
mm.
affordable to someone in like New Canaan or, like Fairfield or whatever, Greenwich, but like that is not affordable to anybody in this neighborhood. Um,
Gentrification? Gentrify?
yeah, I'm just like I am like running and living in a district that like is like there is active gentrification
Mm,
occurring. So I think that's one of like the biggest like issues that I'm really running on to make sure that when we are actually at the state level like, promoting like affordable housing and making it easier to build that like we are like actually making sure that like this is going to lead to like actual affordable housing
right.
uh like not this like weird mishmash of stuff that like pretty much just gives way for people to be gentrified out of their neighborhoods.
hmm.
And for me part of that actually involves the state actually having like a meaningful role in the creation of affordable housing.
Mm,
Right.
Where I'm not against like working with like private affordable housing developers to be able to put up their developments. That is definitely necessary. And there needs to be like an all hands on deck approach to creating more affordable housing.
Right.
But we live in like the sixth richest state in the country. We have like historic like fiscal surpluses that we have like pretty much never seen in the history of our state. And we're still dealing with like a regressive tax system that we can fight to make more progressive. So like I believe that we as a state really do have the opportunity to really facilitate the building of affordable housing and not just affordable housing, like deeply affordable housing, deeply affordable mixed income housing. That's
Right.
also like eco-friendly, because we know that, one of the best ways to really fight climate change, is like more infill housing, more like dense housing,
Mhm.
and how you could connect that with, transportation and other issues. Um, so yeah, I think, housing is a really big issue that I'm running on. Not only, in the realm of affordable housing, and building more of that, but actually protecting people that are, tenants, and already like,
Right.
housed. Where, you have, like I was saying, people pretty much just being priced out of their apartments where one year to another, it's like a 600 or 800. In fact, actually on doors, I was talking to a person on doors,
right.
and they were telling me that back when they were like a tenant, about like 3 years ago. Thankfully they were able to buy their own home. They had a landlord that went up like $400 or $600 on the rent, and like they couldn't afford that. Where it's
Right.
like, once again, when you look at the homelessness crisis, like that is intertwined within it.
I was literally about to say that. I was like, and we have this where you're getting priced out of your house, and if you're priced out of your house and you are unhoused, you now can be arrested, and your labor is now free, and which is all part of, as you unravel, as you unravel the fabric of the world, you start to see this. And just like the connection of, another way for great affordable housing is making a living wage, making sure our people are making a living wage.
Yeah. I think that, a lot of those issues are really like tied together for me, where it's just like housing is like an environmental issue. It's like an issue of like healthcare, which, one of the things, I know they work on it just about every year. They bring it up in the health insurance lobby really does their best to fight at it. But I believe we, are at the point in the state where we can have a public option.
Mm-hmm.
Where like, for example, like I lost healthcare last year. I was for the first time in my life getting paid like pretty well. Albeit it was a temp job. So made more like slightly over what the limit is. Got bounced from healthcare. Temp job kind of like just like of course was temporary. So when that ended, like I didn't have healthcare for pretty much like 3 to 4 months, which perfectly fine for me being a 22-year-old able-bodied like
Right.
male. But you have people across the state that are either disabled or have tons of
Yeah.
family members or folks that are like relying on them. That when thrown into that situation, it's 10 times more precarious where you're one mistake away,
Yeah.
or just one accident away from a lifetime of debt, or
Yeah.
like even worse ailments than what we're already dealing with. So
Mhm.
when I'm really thinking about this campaign, not really only in that, just that is the that comprises the majority of my district, but really running on like a really strong working class agenda where if we're not really able to take care of our most vulnerable people in this state, we're A, looking in for like people moving out of the state, but
Right.
like B, I'm a real big believer in the fact that like if you don't actually spend the money to take care of a lot of these issues, like the fix and like solution to it like costs probably like 3 or 4 times more. So
Mm-hmm.
like you might as well actually like get it right the first time and solve the issue. Where I'm not going to, I don't have numbers in front of me, but like I can probably like I wouldn't be surprised if it actually costs more to deal with the work of like rehousing someone and dealing with
Yep.
like the services when someone has dealt with like homelessness and being unhoused, rather than just like having like the opportunity and solutions to actually like make sure that they stay housed.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is exactly what I'm looking to run on and really bring to the General Assembly, whether it's on housing, whether it's on the environment, whether it's on education, or transportation and things of that sort. Really making sure that we're pushing like a people's agenda, because I briefly worked up at the Capitol for a while, and I know that in the past 3 or so years, um, to be really frank and honest, like the session more or less has been won out by the moderate to conservative like lobbyists and
Right.
groups that have pretty much held what could be like a much more beneficial progressive agenda behind.
Right.
Mm. On WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Preston, and my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City made EZ BlueZ is in the building. Abdul, you had an event this past weekend. Please tell us about that turnout.
Yeah, oh my gosh. So first of all, shout out to our like the whole entire campaign team. That was
Nice.
actually like amazing. Like the run for state rep really did come about really quickly. As
Mm,
I just quickly found out that my state rep wasn't running for re-election.
mm,
Had a couple of days to chat with folks before like I like threw my hat in the ring. But after petitioning on the ballot, we've been able to really assemble a great team. And we were able to get just about like I think over 70 people out to our rally. Where we had a rally, then also like a canvas. And yeah, I think the really great aspect of it was, I was able to see tons of folks that, I knew, folks that I didn't know, that we were able to get out. And there were strangers that were mingling with each other. Where these people didn't know each other coming into the rally, and they left having like a sort of like a connection and relationship established.
Hmm.
Which when I think about campaigns that are running on the values that I'm running on, that's a huge part of it. Where just as much as we were able to get a lot of really good work done, and I kind of gave like an 18-minute speech that I didn't mean to make 18 minutes. Like people were able to say that like they had fun.
Right.
Nah, that's great, bro. That's really great. Easy. I think you got something to say. I see the thought
Oh
process.
yeah, no,
Go ahead.
it's because I have no idea what it's like to run long-winded. If you can hold that audience for 18 minutes when it was supposed to be like 5, oh my gosh, more power to you.
Oh,
That must have
absolutely.
been an incredible
Yeah.
experience.
That they
I
were
know
feeling
that
it, so I was like,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that's like going up for like the 19th encore. They're like, one more song. Like, I don't have any more. Those are all the songs.
So true. But look at the
Like I
impact.
think for me, like rallies really are like there is like a social element to it for me, where
Mhm.
it's like, especially when it's like a sort of rally where it's just normal people, not like really one of those big wig rallies where it's just like, hey, look, we got to like endorse this. But really like, cool, no, this is community, this is us, this is the many. And this is, what we're running the campaign for and who we're looking to fight for.
Well, I think that's the difference in someone who's running for the community and with the community instead of trying to get their community on a corporate level. That's just me. I'm gonna be, I'm gonna say what I want to say, but that's it seems the real reality of it is you're out there with the people itself. You're not changed. You're not sitting here going, I want to make sure that A, B, C, D, E, F, and Y businesses are supporting my campaign. You're going out there and you're going, hey, if you have a couple extra bucks, if you can throw it towards the campaign, I'm really trying to get out there and actually make a difference, person to person. You are funded by the community. You are not someone who is more corporately funded.
Say that, that really is something that, I've always kept true to me, where like I think I remember saying like I didn't really know whether I was going to run for higher office or not
Mhm.
in like the future. I said that like last year. Here I am now. And on the road to that decision were like a lot of conversations. Most of them were actually trying to convince me. Um, but yeah, like I think that it's easy to say for myself, but my heart has always been in this stuff for the right reasons.
Right.
And I'm just looking to continue that wherever I may see myself in the future.
Nice.
Definitely, bro. There's just so much growth that we've seen just from you, just from the news articles. This is your third show this whole entire week on the New Haven Independent platform. Amazing things are happening to you. What do you say to that person who is 18, who wanted to do this just like you, who wanted to go into politics and make a name for themselves and actually, you're not making a name for yourself. You're representing your community and doing it well. It's not just for you. It's for everybody around you to make everything better. It's not just for Abdul. It's for your city of Hamden, which in my opinion is the New Haven light.
Sure.
Like,
It is.
Sure.
I'm just like, yeah, you're very much right with that. And I never shy
Yeah.
away from the fact that it's just
Mhm.
like cool. I'm like, people ask me to hang out. It's like I live closer to downtown New Haven than
Yeah.
downtown Hampton, so I'm probably going to ask you to hang out in New Haven.
Right. Well, that's good to know because next time Shane Penguin does something, we'll have to invite you down to one of the New Haven clubs. And look, man, we have literally put out a forum for people that need to do ride share to the polls.
Mm.
We've done whatever we've needed to do as a band to get more people out there, and we always say it, from the band point of view, we always say that it doesn't matter what side your opinion falls upon. We just want you to voice your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And we value you and we value your opinion, even if it completely contradicts mine. And it does sometimes. There are some people that we just are not going to see eye to eye.
Right.
But I'm going to love them from afar, and I'm going to unconditionally, give them that agape love, because that's just the way things go. How are you dealing with that aspect? Because like you said before, you're going to be walking into a spot where they have these cliques that have been put together that have more voting to get, more of the moderate, more of the conservative aspect on there. How are you going to walk into, what's your day one strategy?
I think, of course,
position.
Yeah, I think of course, there's going to have to be some reconfiguring of it, because I know that whatever worked on council isn't like a shoe-in to work in the General Assembly. But I really think that, my day one strategy is really bring the people that, were a huge part of me getting to this point, along with me into the state capitol, ready to really fight and make change. Where, I kind of talked about it yesterday actually on Doors when I was canvassing about, cool, I want to not only be someone that represents you, but I want to be someone that, if we're debating a bill on, something that's super important to you, let's say, it's the public option that we're talking about. And you're someone that, has experienced, a lot of hardship as it pertains to healthcare. I want to be able to call you, or for that matter, because I know I will be busy, to have my aide call you, and let you know, cool, this is what we're doing, this is what's up. We would love to have you up here to really be able to speak truth to power, and then also bring many more members of the community out, because I think that in those numbers, even from folks on the outside, there is strength, and that's how I'm used to getting stuff done. And like I said, there might be certain tilts that and angles that I have to reconfigure. But I'm looking to really bring some of that grassroots organizing really up to the state level, and see where we're able to take things.
I think it's incredible. Every single one of your answers has revolved around this word community. When you've talked about, even the gatherings that you've put together, and it's been about community, people connecting on a community level. You're going and bringing the community with you to the state level. That is what you're saying. And I think it's so gorgeous. And it's something that's so lost right now, because so many other people are talking about, supporting the corporations in power to make sure that you can get an agenda across. And here you are talking about bringing the community with you, where things, their voice can still be heard. You're peeling away a lot of that discernment.
No, the corporations didn't elect me. I didn't elect myself. It's the people that actually elected me. That's who I hold myself accountable to. And yeah, that's the way I, intend on operating.
You should totally clip that and make that into a campaign thing through TikTok. You'll blow up right there.
And we should also
I have my campaign guy that that he every now and then it's just hey dude, I think this was good, this 50-minute segment was good, you clip some stuff. But
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
This is about to be a clip right now. We unfortunately about to reach to the end of the show, but what I want you to do right now to close us out, Abdul, please be in full campaign mode. Tell us where to go. Tell us the day to be there to support you, so you can make the change you really want for the city. So this last minute and a half to 2 minutes, it's all you, bro. Go ahead.
Of course. We're really building what's a super people powered campaign, and that really does involve talking to voters. Pretty much by the time that that, folks are like seeing. I think, yeah, like folks, so yeah, my website is www.osmanuforstaterep.com, where, that is where you can just, keep up with certain campaign things, see like the platform in, full, that we have, and some of the visions that we have for this campaign. And then on Instagram as well as like Twitter. I still say Twitter. It's X, but it's just like whatever. You can find me at A Osmanu CT. And that is just the way to just, if you're not interested in keeping up with the website, which, having me on social media is probably the most like easiest way to keep up with me anyways. That is, where you can find me. Then always, I really do not show any fear in sharing my phone number. It's 203-343-0781. Super, super excited. Where like, I think the great thing about campaigns for me, is that, there's people that come ready to help and work. And they're, thinking about the specific, like, oh, I don't know how to canvas or blah, blah, blah. It's like there are tons of ways to contribute to, the campaign. Whether, folks have like experience with like art, like policy research, things of that sort. I think the true strength of the campaign is the talent of the people that you bring in, and knowing how to like actually like utilize that and work with that, and really bring the best out of people. Where every single campaign that I've ever worked on, of course, I'm not working on this campaign. I'm candidate handing off work to my people, but it's always been about sitting down, getting to understand people. Where it's just like, cool, okay, I didn't know that you know how to do like this really cool thing. I wasn't thinking about making that a piece of the campaign, but if you have this talent, we might as well actually, give you the opportunity to express it and use it. Because, I'm the candidate. Yes, my goal is to win. But, if you're not the candidate or a staffer, your goal is to, help the candidate win, but first and foremost, have fun. So that is kind of what I'm all about, where it's like, I promise you, I will stress. Some members of my staff will stress, but your job as someone, that is invested in this campaign, physically, some even monetarily, is to, enjoy this ride, and have fun and really, get you to understanding, that, believing in change, doesn't have to be this, really like arduous, really like awkward sort of process. It's like, nope, it is just normal, easy, and, it's not done alone. It's done with us all.
Abdul, thank you so much for being a part of this show again. We appreciate you. Easy, you return a little bit red. Any closing words you got?
No, you want to know something? There's great moments, and when you watch somebody as they grow, you can watch them grow and evolve into those great moments. And I always peel back to like that first moment I knew, Will Smith was going to be a superstar was when he was running shirtless in Bad Boys. Or the shirt open in Bad Boys, and there's that running scene, and it was that epic moment. And I feel like today I got to watch a bunch of those epic moments with you, and I just want to thank you for letting me be a part of those moments.
Yeah, no. Just like moments like this are like really special with me. Where I remember last year I ran into you, Preston, like after the radio show. It was like a couple months after, and it was just like, hey, what's up? Where
Yeah,
it's like just the
that's
like
important.
the beauty of like all of this stuff really is the people that you meet along the way. Where as things have progressed, it's like there's certain folks where we're like, it's like, cool, I need to try to remember your name, because like I like meet a lot of folks. And I make it my mission to just like try to make myself as personable as possible, because I think that that is something that folks really appreciate, because they're not used to politicians, or like elected officials really making the effort to do such a thing. Where like I remember one of my friends from high school was like, well, you should stop trying to remember everyone's name. And it's just like, no, if I do that, I turn into everyone else. Like I want to be me, doing this as much as possible, and if I'm not doing me, when I'm doing this work, then my heart is in it for the wrong reasons, and knowing myself, it'll only be a matter of time before I'm like not doing it. If I don't find myself doing it for the right reasons.
And I think you're doing it for the right reason. We appreciate you, myself, Preston, and my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, Mr. E.Z. BlueZ. Abdul, I wish you the best, brother. I really do.
about. Trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist. Am I worth anything or just discount?